Hey, my name is PolishLynx and welcome to Driftwood, a visual novel. This is the second episode and let's see how our protagonist will continue with basically telling his new girlfriend how he's going to basically, switch schools and so on. That definitely won't be easy to do. Slowly but surely the days pass and a wide range of people come and go, making my hospital room feel more like an exhibit hall than a recovery room. My parents, Michaela, classmates, teachers, news reporters. Interesting having so many people whom I have never really thought of as my friends. But because of some freak accident they feel obliged to give me attention, at least for a little while. Each visit is a nice way to spend a good block of time, otherwise I'm busy thinking about the situation at hand, and how I can change my parents' mind about this new school. In the end, the only thing I can think of as a solution is getting Michaela and possibly her family to agree with me, which might convince my parents that I am right, that things here are fine. Luckily, by the end of the 2-week recovery time, I'm finally able to walk out of the sterile-smelling edifice with just a sling and a good deal of soreness to my shoulder. The moment I'm out of the depressing and mind-numbing structure known as hospital, I coax my parents to drive me to Michaela's house. They agree, not knowing my initial plan of getting Michaela and her family to try and back my choice of staying in the city. It's a dirt trick, but it's my last resort. Nothing else I tell my parents will change their opinions. Once we've arrived, I ask my parents to wait inside the car as I wiggle out of the front seat, twisting my body to avoid hitting my shoulder and arm against anything before hobbling up the steps of Michaela's house. I give the door a few quick knocks with my uninjured arm and wait to see Michaela's pretty blue-eyed face greeting me. Unfortunately, I find that when she meets me at her front step, a scowl adorns her face and a rather melancholy gloom resides in her usually lively blue eyes. She doesn't invite me inside, but instead closes the door behind her and stands in front of her doorway, looking at me with what I can only assume is pity. For a moment I wonder if, at the sight of the sling I'm wearing, she feels guilty about what happened and perhaps she has blamed herself for everything. Hey, is something wrong? Michaela peers at me for a moment before letting out a small sigh and glancing behind me towards my parents in the car. I think you should take the opportunity to go to new school. Hey? What? Hey? What do you say? Hey? I stare at her for a long moment, her words not connecting inside my head for the longest time. How does she know about that? What? Why? What? It's best for you. Hey? What are you talking about? I'm fine here. We're fine here, aren't we? My mouth starts to dry up from the anxiety of the conversation digging a hole into my chest, which is starting to feel more and more empty as I stare at her. I swallow, forcing down what feels like a heavy ball of iron that sinks to the bottom of my stomach with a heavy crash. Don't you want to stay together? Keep dating? What's going on? Talk to me, please? I reached up with my uninjured arm, grasping the side of my head, nearly tempted to rip my hair out in frustration. What the hell? She visited a few times while I was in the hospital, and everything seemed perfectly fine then. What could have possibly changed? And how did she know about the boarding school? Did my parents get to her before I did? I'm moving, and I don't think it's worth getting even more attached to one another if we're just going to end up halfway around the world from each other. What? My God. What? Exactly what I thought and said. You've got to be kidding me. What kind of luck is this? First the whole accident, nope. The only word to describe how I feel is pointless. It feels like my existence is utterly pointless and the only one girl who managed to like and pity me enough to go on a date with me is moving away. But why? I thought your parents liked it here. Do you want to leave? Michaela's eyes avoid mine with such ease I feel as though she truly did start dating me out of pity. We were best, if not really close friends, for all of high school. How could she not harbor even slightly romantic feelings for me after I explained myself? Is that possible? My cousin has a family of an own business in British Columbia. Well, my dad lost his job here, and my parents think the accident is like an omen that it's time to start the next chapter of our lives. I'm sorry, Marcus. She forces out the smile, as if everything was perfectly fine, and this only makes me feel worse. Everything I had hoped for over the past few weeks vanishes within an instant, with just a simple explanation of the reality of things. My whole life feels like it just took a U-turn. I can't think of anything to say, so I just give her a firm nod, silently agreeing even if I don't believe in the idea myself. Alright. I fell silent, the thoughts in my head bubbling and nearly frothing out of my ears at this point. Eventually I'm able to mutter out a quiet, morose-toned goodbye, waving my hand in a dismissive manner like I was tossing away a priceless relic that was no longer worth anything. I turned, stepping off from Michaela's stoop with heavy, shaking legs. What feels like a huge void forms in my stomach, emphasizing my empty, meaningless existence. As I make it back down to the sidewalk, Michaela's footsteps pound me, following closely behind mine, which prompts me to look back, curious as to what the hell she wants. As I turn, I'm greeted with Michaela's body crashing to mine, her arms wrapping tightly around my sides and squeezing me tight. I'm sorry! I'm not sure what's more painful, the fact that my world has been ripped out from under me, or the fact that Michaela didn't even mention anything about moving while I was in the hospital. The sensation of her head nuzzling against my body in sympathy is enough to make my last nerve snap, causing me to gently push her off the chassis of my soul. It's okay. I'll talk to you later, I guess. Thankfully she doesn't resist me gently pushing her away and takes the hint to leave, making her way back up towards her house. Well, it's not like it's her decision as well here, probably. But... well, let's face it. I know I can complain about kids, even if... yeah, kids basically, children of... yeah, if you are living with parents, you basically don't have a choice. And you have to follow them that way. If they move, you move. Unless it's possible for you to stay, you know. But if not, then you are moving as well. That's the problem for sure. At least she knows how proud I am by all this. With what little strength I have left, I make my way back to my car and open the door, slipping back inside to take in a few deep breaths. Seriously, I would actually go for a walk by myself then. Are you two going to keep in touch? I grit my teeth and snap at her sharply, feeling like she had eavesdropped on our whole conversation, or maybe she even planned it. No. My mother looks to me with a worried expression before glancing at my father in the backseat. The two remain taciturn, and the car ride home is painfully quiet, leaving it to my own frustrated, depressing thoughts. I feel almost betrayed. It's been about 4.5 months since my incident in the city. I haven't spoken a word to Michaela since the day I left her house, and my arm is mostly healed. The plans of me going to a new school are now in motion. Everything seems to be changing so quickly and out of my control. With a wave goodbye to my parents and a small hike up the gangplank of the boat, I found myself already taking the first steps toward starting my new life on Martha's Vineyard. Okay, and yet at times like this, I find myself staring off into the distance, wondering what's going to happen to me next. I'm sure I look like an idiot when I do it. Well, I guess you can somehow make it through it, man. We can do this, we can do this. But hell, I can't help it, I'm still a kid. Exactly. So exactly what I said. I think deep down everyone's still a kid, and becoming an adult is just learning how to hide the childishness. Yeah, that's true. You are thinking pretty good here, man. I lean my head back from the dirty interior window of the ferry, letting my mind drift from the idea of starting my new life as I glance around the inside of the boat. People walk about silently, finding their own seats, always a good distance away from others, minding their own lives as most do. Each one passing has me wondering about the details of their history and pasts. It makes me feel so small and insignificant. I spent so much time during my summer break and the first few weeks of the school year moping around about my own life. It's selfish, really, considering how many people are on this planet that have actual problems. Yeah, I know what you mean. But still, in most cases people think about their own problems and not others, right? It's not something surprising. Let's face it, the thing is to first think about your own problems and deal with them, and then you, if it's possible, you can think about dealing with problems of other people. That's just my thinking. I sigh and tilt my head back against the glass, gazing out at the Vineyard Sound, with a strange mix of emotions brewing in my dejected but still beating heart. The water looks calm, and the sun is high in the sky, with only a few clouds spotting the blue expanse. A new school, huh? A new life, huh? A new chance to make a history. I've cut ties with my old friends, and I have hardly any connections with them aside from social media websites, which I hardly use anyways. I would like to say that's a good thing, but because of basically this channel, I use it actually a lot. But this is for best, I suppose, or at least what my parents think. The soft sound of waves and gulls caving can be heard outside the window, and the slow rumble and roar of the boat's engines echo quietly in the hull of the ship. The massive engines make the whole steel frame of the boat vibrate slightly. It gives off this almost annoying buzzing sound that is irritating if you actually pay attention to it. Luckily, the sound is interrupted by the Hispanic-sounding voice of a man speaking through a speaker system throughout the boat. I shift my head away from the window to listen as he speaks. "Welcome aboard the MV Safeguard. Please keep all children supervised." He goes on to speak about the safety regulations of a ferry and all the possibilities of horrible events happening and what procedures would take place if they did occur. I space his voice out and just lean back against the window. Once the engines are fully running, we depart, and I watch the shore get farther and farther from the side. We hope you enjoy your stay or visit to Martha's Vineyard, and have a nice day! The speaker fizzes out and static replaces the man's voice for a short time before a plug is pulled and the speaker system dies out. I gaze out at the ripples of water the ship creates as it glides across the ocean deftly. It's hypnotic, watching and hearing the faint churn of the sea against the heavy steel hull. I lead my eyes partially, lured into a half-asleep state before the sight of a child running by at a high speed while yelling awakes me. Once a baby starts to cry a few seats down, the concept of sleeping for the rest of the trip is thrown away. School vacation is long gone and everyone is back to their daily routine, including myself, even if I am a few weeks late. Except this routine isn't familiar at all. Over the course of the summer I had a lot of free time, and I spent a good deal of it watching the news and researching on the internet. I came to the conclusion that the reason that man decided to shoot me was because I wasn't supposed to see the robbery, or his car's license plate. Not that I would have been able to remember it even if I tried. Just unlucky timing for us to have been there, I suppose. Yeah. Regardless, it's not something I want to go through again. Martha's Vineyard seems like a nice substitute for possibly getting shot up in another incident. What? I've already had my fair share of other people's conflicts, so not being involved at all sounds like a promising idea. Wait, basically that Martia's Vineyard, is it like a place on some kind of island? Because if it is, then I wouldn't actually mind going there. I mean, the idea of living in a quiet island is a great idea for me, to be honest. I mean, not completely deserted, but, you know, not a crowded place, but with friendly people around and so on. It really is. It really would be a nice place. Okay, the boat is close enough to the island now to see roads and houses dotting the shoreline, so it is said. Island, okay. It looks quaint, a little dated, but just as developed as any other place I've seen in Massachusetts. Boston, Massachusetts. The sound of the speaker system turning back on rings out, followed by the same man from earlier. Preparation for docking commencing. Please keep clear of the MH safeguard personnel. Welcome passengers will be exiting on the port side. Man in shaggy looking sailor uniform start to unhinge a door from the boat's interior, working levers and grabbing onto ropes in an organized procedure. The boat rocks and sways for only a moment as it bounces between the heavy timber barriers of the docking area. The men open the exterior doors of the ship and with the help of a few men on the docks, they lock the boat into place and hoist the gangplank up to latch onto the level of the boat's opening. Slowly and steadily, people start to disembark. I join them, descending from the boat and step in the morning sunlight of my new life. And right now the intro to the game appears, right? I like the calm music now. And the sound of water while the ship is sailing. Now that was interesting change. And actually animated intro in a visual novel. Now that's new. Innovative. Nice. Well, at least I never seen anything in any visual novel. I think at least. And like animated intro like that. It's really a good idea. The sun beams high in the sky, showering its warmth down onto the earth to bless all life with its presence. It soaks into my skin, warming up the whole of my body as I lean back against a bench outside the boat terminal. I stare ahead at the water stretching out into the distance, glimmering as the surface sways to and fro. The mainland now appears to be only a small sheet of earth painted over the ocean's canvas. It's a mostly blank void of uninteresting brown and green that only adds to my contemplation of the whole situation. My parents want me to have the best future and a lot of room to develop into my own person, with as little stress as possible. Whether or not I think this is the right choice isn't really up for debate, so here I am in my new makeshift home. You know what? I don't care what you think, I would like to be there as well. If I had the choice actually to switch high schools from my city to a place like this, I would probably go for it. A dainty little island called Martha's Vineyard. Okay, little island, yes, I'm going for it, if that was possible in the past for me. Discovered in the early 1600s by a group of English-backed explorers who decided it'd be best to name the island after the captain's daughter. Okay. All in all, I get to start a new school year, knowing nothing of the teaching ethics, none of the people, none of the landscape or towns, and none of the culture or lifestyle. Nothing. Well, I do know of one person, but I don't really know him. My uncle Xavier. Do you think that's that Xavier? Is it that Xavier, sir? Hey! A distant family relative who is supposed to be picking me up. He's late for. You think it's him? Is it him? Is it Charles Xavier? Also known as Professor X? Might be interesting. Well, you know, maybe he forgot to oil his wheelchair. And, you know. Alright. No stupid comments now, from me. That described him as a drunken old has-been who is unreliable and has a tendency of sitting on his ass all day. So that's not that Xavier I'm thinking about. Seems promising and already very self-evident based on the fact that he's not on time. I'm in no rush for, so taking things slow and enjoying my last moments of summer vacation is fine. In hindsight, I'm sort of happy that my parents care about me to the extent that they do, paying for my schooling here and the like. So, if anything, I guess I'll just have to make the best of all of this while I still can. I think that's a good way to be, living each moment to the fullest, regardless of the bad or good that comes of it. I dig my hands around in my pockets until I find my phone. It's probably best to tell my parents I'm here safe and sound. I send them a simple text and then scroll through the contacts, finding the one I added a few hours ago that was supposed to be Xavier's. My thumb taps the enter key and I bring it to my ear with an annoyed sigh. The phone rings for a few moments before it's picked up, the sound of a bothered sounding person yelping out from the other hand. Yeah, I'm on my way, don't worry. He hangs up before I can even say anything. Rude. I gaze back up at the sky, a soft hoof of air leaving my lungs as the puffy white clouds in the distance blow by without a care. They are seemingly unaffected by the world around them, just little slices of serenity and peace floating in the atmosphere aimlessly. I wonder if that's what this island is like. At least, that's what my parents probably wanted to be. A little escape, a place for me to grow up, or better yet, a place for me to not get a shot. The sound of an untuned engine roars nearby and the car recklessly swerves into the parking lot with such little regard of safety for the others it can only be my uncle. The driver nearly hits a guy walking from the boat terminal to the town nearby. He even manages to bump into a sign before eventually coming to a halt. Wow. His parking is remarkably careless. It's an awe-inspiring sight, seeing someone take up 3 whole parking spaces with one car. Oh my god. Don't you hate people like that? I don't even think I could manage that, and I don't know how to drive. The door of the trashy, beaten down and scratched up vehicle pops open and an older man steps out carelessly, brushing off his pant legs with his palms. He has crumbs all over his torso and pants and looks just as disheveled as he's driving. We cross eyes for an instant and he jogs over excitedly and embraces me into a tight bear hug, lifting me off my feet and waving me around like a child. Marcus, it's been years! As much as I love hugs, the old man is really squeezing me to death, so I'm forced to whiz out a greeting back to him. Oh, so over my arm. Oh, right, sorry. He sets me back down onto my feet, giving me my wounded shoulder a cynical and comforting pat. Quite a lot you've grown up to be. Thanks, it's good to see you too. I glance down to spot the remnants of Xavier's lunch scattered on my own clothing, forcing me to make the effort of brushing them off so I don't look like a slob. So, have you had lunch? Eating lunch sounds good, although the question leaves me a bit baffled due to the crumbles that were on Xavier to begin with. I haven't. He gives me a nod and paces over to the car that is taking up half the parking lot, gesturing for me to get in the passenger seat. There is a little bakery on the way to the school if you want to grab something to eat there. I throw my bags into the back seat of his car, which has dirty clothes and old magazines scattered across the floor and seating, and probably these old magazines are not safe for work. Slipping to the front seat, I see it's a little less of an eyesore, and he actually managed to keep the front portion of the car a little cleaner than the back. It's still fairly disgusting though. Lunch, then the school. Aye. Luckily his driving isn't an issue now that he's in no rush and we steadily make our way through the small clusters of traffic. I like this place! So, 17 and all grown up, eh? Guess you could say that. I offer Xavier a casual smile as we travel down the road, spotting a sign indicating this was Vineyard Haven. Xavier talks the whole way as we drive inland, the ocean and the mainland vanishing from view behind the scrubs, oaks and grey shingles, whatever, buildings. We arrive at the bakery and sit at a table on a patio, overlooking the road once I get some food. Luckily for me, Xavier isn't hungry, so I don't have to witness how the crumbs from his previous meal landed all over him. I got a simple sandwich, turkey, cheese, lettuce, tomatoes, and all the like. The first bite is rewarding enough, but after a while the taste is bland. So, what do you think of coming here for the next year? I'm a bit nervous, but looking forward to it, I guess. He gives a subtle nod and glances out towards the road, watching as cars slowly pass by one. It's a nice place. You might not like it at first, but it grows on ya. What do you mean by that exactly? What's not to like? The people here are probably a little different than what you're used to in the city as all. More laid back, I guess, kind of like fake hippies. Crunchy granola types. But the point is, this place is special. If you're here long enough, it will have a certain draw to it. You won't want to leave. The arc of my eyebrow rises in curiosity at his explanation. I'm sure I'll get used to it after a while. I wasn't too attached to Boston. It will just be different not being with mom and dad. Xavier turns his attention back towards me and offers a small smile of agreement. Sorry, how's the family doing, Harris? I haven't been up to visit you since you were a kid. I'd say as always, but I'm sure we've changed since you last visited. My mind processes what might have changed in the near 10 years that have passed so quickly. Now that I think about it, the fact that I'm a senior is a bit astonishing. Life just keeps getting faster and faster paced. It seems like yesterday I was a freshman, and now I'm nearly out of high school. I guess my dad's business has picked up from when we last met. My mother is doing fine. Xavier nods his head, listening intently. Your dad is still in the gaming industry then? Yep. He just came out with a recent release, so we have a bit of extra money. Not much though. Xavier takes in a deep breath, mulling over what I've said before responding a little off topic. I think you will like the school here. They are fairly laid back but hold a high standard when it comes to final grades. The combination doesn't seem like it would work, but I assume Xavier is telling the truth, or is just really bad at coming up with the comparisons. I'm looking forward to it. They've got dorms and everything, yeah? I already knew the answer to this question from scanning over the school website, but being reassured by someone who lives here is always nice. Fancy ones too. They are really high quality. It's like a condor. That's a bit generous. I'm sure they are not that great. I'm actually not over-exaggerating. Xavier gives me a surprised look, as if he too were doubtful at first speculation. We'll see. It's definitely something to look forward to. Xavier stands upright and checks his watch before nodding, making the silent statement that we should get going. I finish my meal as quick as I can, and we continue on with a journey, small talking and catching up as we drive towards the school. Alright! Let's check the school in the next episode, actually. We'll see how it looks. Well, the building looks small for now, but maybe it's actually a kind of a long building. We'll see in the next one, so hope you enjoyed it and hope to see you in, tomorrow with me in this game, in the next episode. Yeah, awkward. Bye bye.